halfway overhand hook out the door. He's known for that, but if he starts pulling that serve off here at the big ball, we could see a guy like Pee Wee make it in the finals. If we can, if we have it, let's look at that Stratosphere spire that sits up about 1,800 feet off the ground. If we have that clip or that camera angle available, it doesn't look like we might have the camera angle, but we certainly, there it is, Ashley. Look at that thing. It looks relatively small until you realize it's over 2,000 feet off the ground. And every now and then you'll see somebody plunge off that in the skydive, they call it, from the top tower down to the second floor. There's the Stratosphere overlooking the courts here, Las Vegas, Nevada. As we go back to that front wall camera, looking back toward Gabino, who's checking out his hands. He dove for a ball and tried to scoop it, and he popped the tip of his finger, and now he has an infection. Very similar to what the Human Torch, Gio Vasquez, had a few years ago in Tucson when he had that messed up finger. It's starting to fester. Nice dig right there from Pee Wee. Let's see what G-Man does, and he pushes him across the court, down the left wall. Smart play from G-Man. Ash, do you find yourself, as one of the top competitors, you're ranked #1 in the women's bracket, do you find yourself idolizing some of these plays and how they develop or manufacture a great shot like G-Man just did, where he pushes Pee Wee to the right and then pushes down the left?
Well, absolutely. Like, having played small ball, it's very hard to control a big ball if you haven't played the game for very long. And it's amazing how much control that these guys can have using the big ball.
11 serves 10.
You see two elite players in the round of 16 here. It's very rare to see that this early on. Oh, nice shot right there, inside out from Castro.
Now, Vegas is unique this year in that we actually had a 3-wall cup series over the summer, and we used those ranking points to seed the big ball singles. And this is why we're seeing this kind of matchup. Like I said earlier, that Pee Wee did not compete in the last 2 events. A great improvement this year is the flooring. If you recall, the last couple years, we had a linoleum type floor. And this floor, just painted the nonstick surface, is much faster and more of a true bounce than what we saw with the previous flooring.
Well, also, one of the other big things here is that the floor is reflecting the heat more than that one that we had last year, where the heat index reached over 130 degrees on the surface. Out here, it's only at 102 right now, and that does make a big difference.
I didn't see it. You guys were both in front of the ball.
I did not see if that ball was outside or not. I don't know if you caught it. I don't know if we have the replay available, but if we do, let's take a look at that. You could play it over. Referee could play that over. We were unable to see it here. We're looking for a replay, but we haven't been able to get that last shot. It hasn't come up on the screen. That's referee's call there. Came over to get some advice from us. Let's take a look on that replay right here. The out ball was right at the very beginning of that replay. In fact, we'll have the referee come back and look. We do use instant replay in big ball. We'll have the referee come back into the booth here. Referee's going to come back into our booth and take a look at this replay. Here's the serve from Gabino. Let's see if this ball goes out. I believe it's right here. Can we go back one more time on that ball that hit that sideline to the left? Linda back in the van. Let's see if we can take a slow look right before it hits the ground and stop it right. Looks like it's going to hit the line. It's definitely on the line. And the right call will be made here. The ball hit the line. Clearly evident on that call right there. Danny Cervantes will make the right call, and you're going to see one of these players still a little upset because they think it's out, but clearly it shows it on the replay that it was good.
And in tight games like these, it's these kind of calls that can swing the momentum drastically.
If I stop it, is it still a point?
Since the referee stopped the play on that, it will just have to be a do-over at this point, unless it was an ace. That ball was not an ace, so they're going to replay this point here. A little bit of chaos, but that's all right. Got the right call played, and unlike the NFL, it doesn't take us 15 minutes to look at the replay. Thank you very much, Linda. Great camera angle, by the way, as we're back into the action here. Pee Wee will get that ball, but he does not kill it. He actually leaves it up. Last year, Pee Wee was able to dive and slide across that linoleum flooring. This year, you have to go to the first aid station after a shot like that.
12 serves,
Which that has
13.
already happened several times.
I missed that score from the ref, but I believe he said 12 to 13. Nice dig right there from Castro, and then Gabino pushes it right back down the middle. Let's listen to the score.
13 serves, 13.
We're all together at 13 here, going to 15. Ooh, that ball almost out. Oh, this is going to be a big setup for Pee Wee. He takes it down to the left.
He just didn't get it far enough over to push him out of the court.
And I can see why Gabino's a little chirpy after that shot right there, kind of telling Pee Wee, you know, you stood and held your ground.
Timeout.
Gabino's really looking down at Pee Wee here. Now a smile. You're watching the WPH World Outdoor Racquetball and World Players of Handball Outdoor 3-Wall Ball Handball Championships. In the booth here, it's Ashley Moeller alongside yours truly. We'll take a look at that GoPro booth cam provided by the WPH. There's the Stratosphere. And there's us. You look like a rock star there,
Yeah,
Ash.
I am. I got my own button.
Yeah, I do too. This is we can't really focus in on this, but this is the Ashley Moeller pin that's being passed out here at the Stratosphere. In fact, I'm gonna do one of these things here, Ash. Yeah, there we go. I'd rather have the camera centered on you, Ashley
I think
Moeller.
the viewers probably would also.
As the outdoor executive to the games that are going on here in Las Vegas, how do you feel about the outcome and the outcry of support that we're getting in a positive way from the big ball community with your move down to Southern California?
I've never felt more welcomed in any community I've ever been to. Three-wall big ball is such an under-promoted sport, and they're some of the most fabulous athletes you'll ever see. So it's amazing how respectful and appreciative these guys are, and it makes it so fun to run tournaments for them, knowing that they love what you're doing for them.
There's game point for Gabino. Pee Wee had his opportunities in that last rally, and he squandered them away. And there it is. Gabino gets that last little push in, and that is not game point. Now I believe we're at 14 with the game.
Game point, serves 13.
14 serves 13. I thought Gabino got a point on that last one, and he's going to punch that back with a fist. I like that push right there from Pee Wee. And that's going to be out.
Out ball.
And Gabino takes the first game 15 to 13. We're going to take a quick timeout. We're here at the Stratosphere in Las Vegas, Nevada for the 3-Wall Ball Championships. It's the round of 16. Gabino Velasquez G-Man takes down Pee Wee Castro 15 to 13. We'll have game number 2 in a couple minutes. Stick around at racefor8.com.
So now you know, and now I know. Okay? If you dive in front of him, you got to stay down until he takes a shot. Okay? All right. 0 serve 0.
And we are back live after a very spirited in-between game banter between the two players here. And a point, quick one for Pee Wee Castro, who lost the first game 15-13.
1 serve 0.
This is the men's round of 16 here.
Let's go, baby.
And another point for Castro.
2 serve 0. How about?
I have a fan in my way, so I can't see that left sideline.
Yeah. Into the ball. That ball's in the bleachers.
Pee Wee Castro actually has 2 and G-Man 1. That side out gives G-Man an extra point. Now, the rule is if a player dives on the floor, they have to stay down if the play's immediately above them. But if the referee sees that G-Man's on the floor and he's out of the play and jumps up and does not affect the play, he doesn't have to call the automatic avoidable hinder. Now, this is just a conflict, Ashley, that occurs between West Coast and East Coast. West Coast players allow that sort of play to happen, that dive on the floor, jump up, and kind of screen the players they come across because it's been allowed for many, many years. The East Coast calls that, and they know the difference between those rules. So we kind of have a conflict between coasts. Now there's more bantering with the referee here.
Was there a timeout call, or is there?
Don't know what the call is here from the referee. Can't hear the referee's microphone, so we don't know exactly what's going on. Pee Wee Castro in the box. Game number 2. One thing we didn't do, that was really close.
Yeah, that was a good ball.
Did he hit the line?
It was. I think it was even inside the line. It was clearly a good ball.
One thing we didn't do after all that bantering in between games between Pee Wee Castro and Gabino is we did not go back and look at the play that was in question on replay to see what that last rally was where Pee Wee was arguing. I agree with Pee Wee on his argument that G-Man jumped up, but I don't think it's a call that the booth can make. It is a subjective call by the referee. Pee Wee will get this ball. And I'll tell you,
well,
because it's so hot out here, Ashley, that you breathe through your mouth on shots like that, and that dry air just sucks all the condensation out of your throat and makes it seem like you just went on a 40-shot rally and all you did is ran 40 feet. G-Man serving. And a point for Pee Wee Castro.
Pee Wee's getting a few good breaks here where Gabino is just missing his shots, so Pee Wee needs to capitalize on that and try to get a good lead built here while he has the momentum.
After this game ends, we'll be able to hear the audio from the referee, and once that happens, we'll be able to hear some of this bantering that's going on between the players and the referee. This is quite a colorful game of handball here. And G-Man just overrunning that shot. Pee Wee now scoring another point.
7 serves 3.
7 serves 3 is the score. That's a beautiful serve right there from Castro. And a dive re-kill from Gabino, who quickly gets over to the shade.
Timeout.
I believe there's a timeout called here from Castro, who's got a nice lead here in game number 2. He was tied at 13 in the first game, drops 15 to 13, but here he is up, I believe, 7 to 4. Gabino just now discovering there's a timeout. You're watching the WPH 3-wall ball outdoor handball championships alongside paddleball and racquetball, of course. Combined about 600 players here on the Stratosphere parking lot. We have a synthetic surface that has newly paved yellow lines that you see on the screen here. These lines are thick, they're wide, they're a lot easier for the players and the referee and the line judges to see the balls hitting those lines. We have a red fireball provided by Echelon, one of the tournament sponsors. And the court is starting to heat up with action here between Pee Wee Castro from the right coast and Gabino from the left. Gabino representing the OC. Pee Wee Castro, of course, shouting out to Far Rockaway, New York.
And although Pee Wee is from the East Coast, he has a lot of support from the LA players. It's like he's an honorary LA person whenever he comes out this way.
Well, there's no doubt, Ashley, that if he lived in Los Angeles and played this form of handball, he would be in the top 2.
Well, rumor is that might possibly be happening.
Well, if it does happen, guess what? Because Pee Wee's got serious game. A guy that does not play 3-wall big ball can dominate out here.
You see Gabino pushing Pee Wee back and forth, and that's a good strategy to get your opponent just tired.
Gabino knows how to control the courts here. He's pushing Pee Wee, like you said, left to right, and then he closes that one out. Each one of these rallies ends where the player slowly walks back to the respective spot. That right there is another one of those close calls where Gabino's trying to jump up. I did not see that line.
It looked good to me. I thought it hit the line.
Hold it, let me check it. Check that.
Let's look at the replay there if we can. Our referee's going to come back into the booth and also review this. We can't get review happy. We do have 3 reviews per game. Let's go ahead and take a look here. There's only 3 reviews per game, and that's the first review of the second game. Let's close the ball down here right after this shot. The ball hits the line right
Clearly
there.
A good ball.
Good ball.
Ball hits the line. You can clearly see it. Now you see these guys bantering back and forth. Very intense are both players, Gabino and Pee Wee.
8 serves 5.
Pee Wee knew he saw that ball hit the line. Boy, that's close to being a screen ball. That ball just goes out the door. Beautiful return from Gabino. I thought that Pee Wee Castro's returns, Ashley, were amazing, but Gabino just perfectly places that ball in that left corner up there and slides it out the right wall.
6 serves 8.
Ooh, that's a tomahawk overhand chop from Pee Wee Castro. And he gets another point. Listen for the score from referee Dan Cervantes.
Timeout. You get one more, yeah.
Will be a timeout here. And we'll listen to that. We'll get the score from the referee here.
9 serving 6.
The score is 9-6, and it's a 60-second timeout here at the Stratosphere Hotel and Casino parking lot alongside 3-wall ball and the World Players of Handball. This is game number 2. A very spirited game number 1 ended when a controversial play took place. G-Man was serving at 14, game point to Pee Wee's 13. G-Man hits the floor and jumps up in what perceived to be a automatic avoidable hinder. Referee doesn't call it. Ball floats out of the court, and Pee Wee Castro loses that first game 15-13. Both players standing around wondering if that ball would be replayed because of a replay on our high-def TV here, Ashley, but we don't replay subjective calls by the referee. At least not that subjective call.
Now, is the official rule 3 replays per game or per match?
3 reviews per match.
And so if this does go tiebreaker, they've already used up 2 of their
7
reviews.
serves 9.
Now here's one little wrinkle to that rule is if you review and you're correct on your review, you got to keep your review. You understand? Pee-wee, okay. Gabino was appealing a ball that he thought was out. If he was correct on that appeal, he would have just kept his appeal.
So he gets his red flag back.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he was wrong on his appeal, and he loses it.
9.
8 serves 9. That ball will stay in. Watch what it does here on the sidewall. Nice shot right there from Pee-wee. Now, normally, Gabino would just dive into that, but this is early on. We've seen Gabino do some pretty amazing acrobatic stuff in there.
It's also a very long tournament to already be diving into the side wall directly. Would have been a very dangerous play to go head first into the sidewall.
And that was a terrible return, and the referee could give Gabino a technical for hitting that ball, but that's not going to be called.
This will be 11 serves 8.
Listen for the score.
Hold it.
We have some tumbleweed blowing across the court.
11 serves 8.
11-8 here, going to 15. I love that serve from Pee-wee. Look what it
Nice
does,
shot
Ashley.
there.
See how he sets it up? He knows that Gabino's going to have to run from left to right, so he pushes that ball low and hard down that wall.
And one thing he did not do in the first game, he was letting the ball bounce and hitting it instead of catching it on the fly. And if he stands there and attacks the ball, then he's going to have better success in getting side outs.
Well, that's a good observation. Before in that first game, he was floating that ball down the line hard, and he was pushing it out the court for a loss. Now you see, you're right, he is going for that attack mode 1 inch high, and that ball stays in, and that is a side out point for Gabino. Now at 9 serves 12. This is second game. Pee-wee Castro trying to take this to a tiebreaker. That ball might be out. No, he's going to keep it into play. Oh, beautiful power right there from Pee-wee Castro, now at the 13th point.
And that's just smart handball right there. He knew Gabino was down on the floor in the front right corner, and he sent the ball deep to the left part of the court. But Pee-wee's one of the most experienced handball players probably in the entire tournament.
You got 13,
And a very successful one at that.
I like that shot right there from Castro. He comes in and attacks.
And there you see, as soon as he can cut that ball off in the air, Gabino's going to have a hard time coming from deep in the court to catch those kills in the front.
And you see Pee-wee laboring right now, and that's not because he's out of shape. This weather will do that to you. If that shadow could be a little bit closer into the server's box, you'd see Pee-wee standing in it. Pee-wee's got a system right now, and that ball's going to stay in, and it isn't. That ball went out, and that is the end of game number 2. And you see smiles from Pee-wee Castro right here, but I really thought that he'd be a little bit more frustrated at this point, Ashley, because in his mind, he feels like he should have won that first game. But you know what happens? This weather and this heat's so hot that you just can't argue. At a certain point, it just takes too much energy to argue. And now he's just sitting down and he's smiling. He's going to push this one to a tiebreaker, also playing to 15. And it's really going to come down to a determination who has the most guts here in the tiebreaker. This is the World 3-Wall Ball Outdoor Handball Championships at the Stratosphere in Las Vegas, year number 3. Last year, it was Boxer Rosales winning the men's singles. And this year, he's actually dropped in the rankings because he was injured and missed a couple stops. And when he did finally come back as, you know, a major threat, he lost in a round of 16 and then lost in a round of 8. We really don't know how good Boxer Rosales is going to be in this tournament, but he is the defending champion.
Well, I do know that he has been working an incredible number of hours and outside of the LA area, so he hasn't been able to compete and practice as much as he probably could have last year.
The WPH does not normally seed tournaments based on if a winner won from the previous year. That is one of the one things that we do different than other organizations. The WPH doesn't really look at a previous year's winner and automatically give them a #1 seed. We take the rankings and use whoever is #1 and seed them at that time because that's more relevant to what's going on. 12 months ago, as you can see with Boxer, if we gave him the #1 seed, it would really mess up the whole draw. He's not ready to be the #1 player at this point. Looking back 12 months really wouldn't help out what is currently going on in the scope of handball. So that's another little twist that you see in most of our events. Some events you really can't get by without giving the previous year winner, because you don't have a ranking in some tournaments, or you don't have a cup series like we do here. Now, if we could go back into the booth, we'll take a quick look at this cup, Ashley. This is a beautiful cup. Once Linda gets back into the booth, we're going to take a look at this thing. We have a 4-stop series. You brought this up earlier. 3 stops prior to this one, and this is the grandiose. The winner will receive double points. Okay, right now the leader is young Juan Ibanez Santos, who has 1,465 points, followed very closely by Samson Hernandez, who has 1,460 points. It's a virtual tie, and those guys still could lose this because there's double points being awarded for this championship. Let's take a quick look at the championship cup that you picked up in Southern California, Ashley, in our booth if we can, so those at home could see this beautiful cup here. It weighs about 30 pounds. The winner will receive this. You can see the engraved portion down here, 2012 WPH Cup Series champion. This could go to, statistically, about 11 different players that are in the ranking. I believe I went down, and you can go down to the 13th ranked player could win that comes into this event.
And another thing you have to factor in is we are in Las Vegas. It's Sin City. It's going to be very tempting for these players to become unfocused and forget about winning the championship.
That's true. There is a lot of distractions here. There's a lot of distractions right here on the court area. You don't even have to walk across the street where the lights are flickering, Ash. You can just get distracted easy out here, as you saw last night. A lot of these players playing until well past midnight. The previous night, there were over 50 players that left the courts at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they had start times at 11 o'clock, some a little bit earlier than that. And that's part of the trials and tribulations of Vegas. Every one of these competitors go home with a great experience, but also their bodies are aching because they're putting a lot of hours. We have the one-wall show court, which is kind of stealing the show in a lot of senses, that a lot of players over there are experimenting on that one-wall court, which is brought to you by Albert Apuzzi. It's the Albert Apuzzi wall, as it's been named.
We should have gotten some graffiti on there.
Well, it's there, but you just can't see it. It's written in black Sharpie, and somebody sprinkled some stripper glitter on it. So you got that too. We'll try to get a close-up of that, the christening of that court. We actually had a, I don't know how to say this nicely for those that are watching, a lady of the night who came over and threw that.
I think they call them escorts here.
Okay, escorts, that's right.
Here in Vegas.
She, I went a little old school on my terminology there.
I'll keep it real,
She threw
don't
the
worry.
pixie dust onto the Albert Apuzzi name. Just, he's here in spirit. Newly inducted Hall of Fame member Albert Apuzzi to the United States Handball Association. As we get ready for the tiebreaker here, Danny Cervantes is getting the players back into order, back onto this court.
This side. Thanks. All right, play ball.
Up next will be Ricky Ruiz and Flash Christohin.
Which I believe it will be a repeat of
Zero serve, zero.
a quarterfinal match from the last stop we had.
Catch at home, but that was an unbelievable shot that he made there 2 shots ago. Now a point for Pee Wee, who's got a system. That was an inside-out left, and he knew he made a mistake there. He could have fisted that ball down the right wall if he wanted to. It's easier said than done. Gabino now has 2.
2 serves, 1.
G-Man serving 2-1 in this tiebreaker here.
And G-Man gets another point now at 3-1. Now, when it comes to the appeals, that only happens on these show court matches with the men's big ball, Ashley. We do have the right.
So the women's big ball won't have appeals?
No, when it comes to the big ball, we'll allow that. We'll converse about the exact rule. But want the players to know that, the men's 40 doubles isn't going to be doing the appeals. That's just for the TV crowd.
Oh.
And that ball hits G right on the back of the head. I guess you would call that the G spot.
I don't think that's what that means.
Oh, it isn't?
Well, from what I read in books, I don't think so.
Well, that is the spot where it hit him. We have a rules sheet that's over at the scorers table that explain scoring. I don't know if there's a timeout being called here. I mean, G-Man got hit in the back of the head with a soft handball, and now you see G-Man saying that he didn't think the ball was going to make it, but it clearly would have been a ball that would have made the front wall. You see G-Man arguing with the referee here that that ball wouldn't have made it, but it clearly would have.
Practicing on these courts and playing my match this morning, I found out you can hit the ball a lot farther back on the sidewall and it will still carry to the front wall. Unlike concrete courts, it catches a little differently.
Yeah. But you have to have good control and use that open flat hand with the big ball to do that. If you try to feather it like it's a small ball, you might. We're doing a live broadcast right here, and everything's being said over the air. This is clearly New York one-wall rules when it comes to one wall, but a lot of people asking us questions while we're doing the live broadcast, and I guess I don't blame them because we're always accessible for them. Referee could have called it. He's going to let him play through that. You see no argument from Pee Wee right there, but technically he did have to alter his step there. But, you know, it's very hard to call against that because you have a guy laying on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. You want that shot because, you know, if you get your hand on it, he has no chance of getting it.
Pee Wee has an open door here, but G-Man pushes that ball back. See, now Pee Wee flashes in front of Gabino.
That ball just kissed the sidewall to keep it in bounds.
Now let's listen to the score here. Tiebreaker with G-Man up big.
6 serves 2.
Score here 7-2 going to 15. Now you see Pee Wee getting a little tired here, licking his lips, but he has no saliva. He almost needs to have one of your trainers right there in the front row just squirting water in your mouth with a...
Like the marathon runners, just spraying it at him.
Just throw it at you. I like that shot from Pee Wee.
When it's this hot, water just simply isn't enough. You have to ensure that you're getting your salt so you retain the water and all your nutrients.
Now we saw a couple years ago when Dave Chapman won the singles in that inaugural year. He came down a couple weeks before Vegas and went hiking in the Red Rock Canyon just so he could try to figure out how to well represent his body with hydration. So he hiked for 4 hours every day leading up to the tournament, and then took a 2-week hiatus and then flew back, and he knew exactly what to do with his body, and that ball was floated out from Gabino. But that's almost what it takes. Now, you and I both have at one time lived in Tucson, Arizona. I currently live there. And you have to really just have a lot of water the night before, and then that day have it available to lick your lips.
Third game, is it 2 or 3 timeouts?
It's the same as the first question from the referee is how many timeouts in the tiebreaker. All games are the same.
4 serves 8.
Score
and
is
the rules
4-8.
are printed directly on the scorecards, which some of the referees are failing to read the rules, I believe.
Well, our referee here, reffing, is the lead ref for this tournament and all tournaments.
Hold it. G-Man.
But I don't blame him for double checking because we have found some errors already here, Ashley, where referees played some of the games to 11-point tiebreakers, and there's nothing wrong with getting clarification.
9 serves 4.
Score 9-4 going to 15. That ball I thought skipped in.
It pops funny off that bottom board. Okay, that's fine.
Let's take a look at that. It's going to be very difficult for us to see it on the live broadcast. if we can appeal that last ball. Now, from my perspective as a small ball player, I thought that ball skipped.
Having played both recently, it's very difficult because the big ball bounces differently. As a small ball player, sometimes I can't even tell in the middle of my own game if somebody hit a good ball and it's right in front of my face.
I can guarantee you, without even looking at the replay, there's just no way we're going to be able to tell. It's one of those that you'd have no need to even look at it.
10 serve, 10 serve score.
That ball's out. No, it's in. Stays in. And that's what Pee Wee's going to need that right now. A little bit of luck. Pee Wee's lost that sort of angle, that enthusiasm that he had in that second game, and I think it's the heat that's doing it to him. But he's going to need a little bit of luck from missed shots from Gabino, and that ball stays in. Gabino is unable to track it down, and it does not make the front wall.
And that's exactly what Pee Wee's going to need to do. Just cut it off and keep himself in the middle of the court and just run G-man back and forth.
6 serves 10.
Score is 6-10. Beautiful serve right there from Castro, and another point for Pee Wee, and he's starting to get crowd support again.
Hey, sir, can you not get so aggressive?
We're starting to see a lot of outbursts from G-man, and the referee could call a technical. This is the 3rd time that he's thrown a ball out of rage.
Don't know what Sal Duenas is doing walking across the court there, as I guess he's one of the line judges. Don't know why we're hearing music through our headphones, but I like it. Feel like I'm expecting to see Lassie running through.
Running through the fields of the desert?
Yeah. Was that the opening of the Little House on the Prairie? Oh, nice inside out serve right there. And beautiful return from Pee Wee Castro, and another point for him. Let's listen for the score from the ref.
You hear a little bantering between the players there.
So.
You hear Pee Wee Castro yelling at G-man, saying, "You better take a timeout."
9 serves 10.
The score is 9-10 here with Pee Wee Castro trash talking Gabino, who's also very weathered right now, and he's kind of over in our booth. We take a look at what's going on the court here, getting some moral support from Samson Hernandez and Ricky Ruiz. And you're right, Pee Wee Castro is an extension of Los Angeles. He's got a lot of those LA players, and this is LA versus OC, and you would normally think as a spectator at home, well, why would the California guys be helping out Pee Wee Castro from New York up against another California guy, Gabino Velasquez? Well, that's because Gabino's from the OC. And they look at Pee Wee as being from LA.
Well, Pee Wee's basically a stepbrother in the Ruiz family.
It's 9-10. It's 9-10. Score is 9-10.
I didn't make a mistake. Nine serves 10.
9 serves 10 for Pee Wee, trying to get that extra point there. That ball might be out. Now the 11th point for G-man. That ball was in control. Pee Wee had his control of his own destiny there, and he floated that ball out the court.
And with rally scoring, this is really getting to crunch time. Once you hit that 11, 12 point, as the opponent that's down in the game, you know that it's now or never.
You see G-man stay down that time, and I think Pee Wee bought that call from the first game.
Because you know it was going through his head that he was told he can't get up on shots like that.
Back down the right line there. Pee Wee has a corner, and he misses that shot right there. There is no bad bounces here. The ball looked like it went right through his hand. Pee Wee serving to tie this game at 11. Now Gabino is at 12. Now you see Gabino trash talking back. Now playing mind games here. I don't know what Pee Wee saw there. I didn't see a bad bounce. That ball just floated right through.
It did hit where the panels merge together. There are beams right there, so sometimes it comes out faster than when it hits the center of the wood.
Oh, and a swing and miss from the OC man, G-man. score here is now 11-12 with a timeout being called.
11 serves 12. Let me double check.
We have two broadcasters here in the booth, Ashley Moeller and Dave Vincent, and then that third one, Shorty Ruiz, who's standing 4 feet away yelling, and everything he says seems to be picked up on microphone. Might as well just mic him up. This is the World 3-Wall Ball Outdoor Handball and Racquetball Championships. This is the round of 16. Pee Wee Castro had a good showing in the first game, tied at one point at 13, but goes on losing 15-13 with G-Man taking game number 1. And now you can see the score here in the tiebreaker after Pee Wee had a dominant performance in game number 2.
It's a very long match beginning at 11 a.m. We schedule these matches at 45 minutes.
11 serves
We're
12.
approaching on to an hour.
He started exactly at 11 Pacific time. Pee Wee floats that ball down the left. Oh, nice shot right there from Pee Wee. G-Man knows how to track those balls down, goes to the corner kill, and gets the 12th point.
12 serves 12.
We're all together at 12. First to 15 wins and advances. Oh, I like that shot from Pee Wee. Look at that, pushing all the way out. That ball will make the front wall. That's just an unfortunate play. It looks like Pee Wee has it there. He could have inside out of that ball back down the left, knowing that G-Man was going to streak across. Instead, he went right into G-Man's power. Not a very smart shot right there, I don't think, from Pee Wee. Let's take a look at the replay here. Pee Wee had, well, he had a hand on that last ball.
That's one thing about these top players is they always seem to get their hands on the balls.
You see the players kind of chirping at the referee saying, I need to wipe this off, and I agree with the players here. There is a wipe. You get a 20-second wipe. If the players are too wet, it does affect the play of this ball. And I'm sure you've seen it sometimes that when you're really, really
13 serves 12.
really wet, the ball will slide.
Yeah, and with handball, that's a big problem is when the balls slide, it really affects how the game is played out.
Well, last year on that linoleum, it made a big difference. Here's G-Man back down to the ground here. Pee Wee pushing that ball down the left. G-Man's an acrobat out here. Contact, no call. You see G-Man held up. That ball is in.
Beautiful shot.
I got to call it.
I think G-Man forced the contact. He did not have to push off Pee Wee. He just did it to try to get a call from the referee.
Well, I don't know if he did it for that reason. Sometimes you're just watching the ball and you know there's somebody in your peripherals and you reach your hand out because you think you're going to run in. It's more like one of those safety holds. I can see why G-Man did that. You don't really know if he's right in front of you off to the side. Let's look at the replay here. Pee Wee pushing that ball off to the left. Pee Wee holding his ground. Watch this here. That's where the touch was on the back. It's not my call. It's not my call. It's not our call. We're broadcasters.
And even if a player does stop the ball, it's the referee's call.
Yeah,
if the referee doesn't make a call, the player doesn't get a choose for the referee.
Well, that's a good point. It's not an automatic. If the player holds up, it's not automatic. It's up to the referee. The score is tied at 13 here. We always say as referees that if there's contact, raise your hand, but that's not an automatic that they're going to give it to you because that ball was still clearly playable.
And this is one thing on the 4-Wall Pro Tour that was discussed with the players.
No, it isn't. That ball's not unavoidable. I don't know who said that, but it was. They should be kicked out of here.
13.
That's the opposite of unavoidable. It was unfortunate for Pee Wee because
that's a good call there.
I gotta call it, Pee Wee. I gotta call it. Same thing that happened over here.
I don't know what the call was.
He called it over.
You can't call it over. You can't call it over. I gotta call it. Same thing that happened over here.
I return the ball.
But he can't call it over. He can't call it over.
Return the ball, actually.
No. No. It's not a call that you can ask us about. That's a referee's call. That's not something that we can say here.
He didn't return it, though.
You can't stop the ball. You can't stop it. I stopped it.
Can you go to the referee?
He said no. He said that's it.
It's not our call. It's not our call. That's a subjective. It's not our call. That's his call. That's his call, and the line judges can get involved. We're not getting involved in that. We can help on replays when it comes to hitting lines or going out or bad, certain circumstances. But when it comes to a subjective call like that, it goes down to the referee.
Well, and he has 2 line judges, so I'm not sure why.
I don't know what the call is, first of all, so I'm not going to make that call.
Well, I thought I heard him call it over, which I thought was a good call because G-Man was right in front of Pee Wee when he was swinging.
Yeah,
It's a safety thing. You can't swing at somebody.
Yeah, the call over happened before the shot, and Pee Wee's talking about the shot after it developed, it was ungettable, and therefore he believes that even though he called it over since he couldn't get
but
it.
if he already made the call.
But he made the call before the shot took place. And G-Man was clearly was hindered on that. If you're ever talking about a safety hold, that is one of those calls.
Okay, we're gonna go over ball, over ball, over ball. Over ball, G-Man. But I gotta be calling the shots. You guys can over ball, let's go. Come on, G-Man, let's go.
Now there's some pushing between the two players here. I don't know now if the referee reversed that, but let's listen in for the score.
13 serves 13.
Okay, he played it over 13-13, which is the correct call, by the way, if I did have a subjective opinion. Look at that get right there from Pee Wee. Moves his feet. Now he's going to get this one, too. G-Man also gets it. Pee Wee back in, gets it again, and it hits him.
It's one of the greatest rallies we've seen in this entire match.
That was unbelievable. 3 dives, and that ball ended up hitting Pee Wee Castro, and I don't know why he doesn't call a timeout here. It's game point and match point for Gabino Velasquez. And the crowd really enjoying what they're seeing here courtside. Pee Wee has a timeout. He could call it here. I think it would be smart if he did.
Serving 13.
Then again, both
the only
players,
thinking is maybe he's tired because,
they're both tired.
yeah.
This is game and match for G-Man. Side out would give Pee Wee his 14th point. And there it is right there. G-Man advances to the round of 8, defeating Pee Wee Castro in the tiebreaker 15-13. We have another great one coming up right around the corner. Stick around with Flash versus Paulie G, Ricky Ruiz, and Chris Tohin. Get ready for that in just a bit. For Ashley Moeller, Richie Estrella, as well as Linda Manning, my name is Dave Vincent. Stick around. More action right around the corner at racefor8.com.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.
Working and working out takes a lot of energy. That's why I drink Zenergy. Feeling fantastic and looking good has never been easier. Science, extreme science for your active lifestyle.
For 20 years, the Inner City Handball Association has educated, mentored, and served young people through handball. Young people that participate in the Inner City Handball Association programs have a high graduation rate from high school and continue on to college. Inner City Handball teams are good athletes, good students, and good ambassadors for the sport of handball. We need your help to continue our work. Inner City Handball Association is a registered 501c3 tax-exempt charity. Please donate today. Thank you.